All right, Coach. Good win. Solid performance by Gianna. Just talk about the team victory today.
Yeah, this game is funny. So pitching was pretty dominant today, and our bats were a little different from yesterday. But it's tough, like we're super young, and we keep talking about that. And I think just at this point in my coaching career is really recognizing what's the emotional recovery from like that exciting game yesterday, and if my phone is blowing up about the game, then I'm sure theirs is even, two more, three more times than that. So being able to come back and play this game, who's a very good team, they are very well coached, and they're super gritty, is tough, and I love how they just stuck in it.
Weather-wise was a little different too. It had a bit of a delay, an hour, 15 minutes. There's some swirling wind. It goes from 80 degrees to 60 degrees. I mean, how much of that was a factor in the game as well, adjusting to those conditions?
Well, we actually talked about that because it's new for I think half of our team dealing with what's a rain delay like, and coaches were in there watching some film, and we talked to some of the players, and we said, hey, like, look at some of your at bats, come up with an approach, and some of them were kind of scattered, on their phones doing things like that, and that's just not how we roll. And so again, there was another learning moment of, oh, okay, we got to talk about this, and so we talked about it, and the next one, hopefully we don't have to deal with them too often, but we'll be more prepared and understand what we're supposed to do.
What does it mean to you to have a game like this to kind of, end this night's classic on a high note, especially after the events of last night?
Oh, huge. It's, every game is the same. And that's, some people think like, whoa, well, the Florida game is such a big game. And, the Ole Miss game is such a big game. But in our record, it still counts as one. One on the win side or one on the lose side, right? And so that's what I told him is like, this game's just as big because it counts as one. And so to close off such a competitive weekend, you had good pitching, and I'm going to say all 5 teams are super competitive that we had here in the tournament. And so to be able to come out with the amount of wins that we did is huge for our young team. And I like Gianna looked a lot like herself today, so I like getting that going into this next weekend.
You said last night Justine would be ready to go at the plate the next game there after last night. Yorn Kitten got 2 hits, hit the big 2 RBI hit, and made a great defensive play that killed an Oakland rally there when a ball got past Doherty and she was backing her up. She was locked in today.
Yeah. Well, when she hit her first hit off that changeup, I was like, oh, here we go. But that's her. What do I call her? The quiet thunder. She's the rock of our team, and starting to feel a lot better after a little got banged up in the St. Pete tournament, and so it shows, when she's on, the team gets super competitive behind her.
Can you talk about the performance of really both pitchers tonight? Because Gianna and Sydney really made this a pitcher's duel this time.
Yeah. It's tough. She may not have that overpowering velocity, but she spots the ball up, man, just both sides of the plate. She can mix her changeup. She went up and down. You have to tip your cap to somebody that our hitters are really good. And for her to keep us off balance and move our eyes like she did, I think she's going to be pretty successful this season.
What about as far as Gianna's performance tonight, getting that complete game shutout?
It's like I said, this is more of what I'm used to for Gianna. Still going to work on that pitch count, but when you got 8 strikeouts on your performance and you get a shutout, they get pitcher's BP again, so I think we tallied up that for this weekend. But I really like how she started to move the ball, and we got to use her whole game tonight.
Go 4-1 in this night's classic, and you can make a case that every team in this tournament is going to could be in the NCAA tournament at the end of the year with the profile. What does that mean to play at that type of a tournament and have that success? Great crowds all weekend. It's probably going to be one of the most successful tournaments UCF's ever hosted. Overall, takeaways from the 5 games of the tournament.
Yeah, I just think, like you said, that to be able to play as competitive as we did against teams that are going to play in postseason. You saw a lot of youth in some of these teams here, but their pitching is good, and they're going to continue to get better, and that's big time for us, right? So when it comes to RPI just having that experience and knowing. But what an awesome weekend. This was a great weekend. We had such a cool experience in St. Pete with the atmosphere and the crowd, and it was kind of like that here, so to see 2 or 3 rows deep in the outfield when people sitting on their cars to watch the game, that's exciting stuff. And it just speaks to our game, really. Our women and our team and other teams, they're just working so darn hard, and they're fun to watch because they're darn good.
You guys have some downtime now before next weekend's series, with 2 straight doubleheader days with South Carolina and FGCU. Can you you've talked about recovery. It seems like you talked about recovery a lot with these players. So how do you go into recovering, through these multi-day long breaks before then really kind of going at it with 2 straight doubleheader days?
Yeah, well, they're going to take care of their bodies. So I told them no softball tomorrow because on our off days, they like to still do kind of their own stuff, and they have access to some of the softball stuff. But I said, nope, you're on timeout from softball. You can do whatever else you want to do, and really focusing on our studies, because sometimes we forget when we're such good athletes that we're also students. So they're going to do a little bit of that before spring break next week, and then getting back to practice. I feel like we haven't been able to have like 2 solid practices in a row in quite some time, and that's even what I was talking to the pitchers about, is getting a nice solid bullpen in. We've had to really keep our pitch count down because we played so many games in the matter of days that I feel like we're just started and we're already 17 games in. So it's good for them, but it's all about practice. Is that the sign that the line I'm supposed to say? But I'm excited to get back to it and clean some things up so that we can get our game to that next level.
Can you elaborate on the cleaning things up? So, what
Yeah.
would you like to see from this team? Like, what kind of changes would you like to see between now and this weekend?
Well, continuing the inning with maybe just like the miscue in the outfield here, some base running situations, and again, it's nothing terrible, but if we want to go as deep as these women are talking about on our team, then we're going to have to clean those things up of, stopping at 2 when there's no outs and you're in scoring position already. Taking bases, the way we slide into bases in certain scenarios. Defensively, looking for secondary plays, stopping big innings. Smallest thing is like getting the bunt down when we need to get the bunt down. Just things like that. And then putting pitches in spots when we need them and when we want them. I mean, what I would say our staff really does a good job of is velocity and movement. The one thing that I'd probably give us an average grade on right now is our spot percentage. And so that's something that we're going to clean up in the next couple of days.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.